Welcome to Building Atlanta with David Branch, brought to you by Site Services Group, an Atlanta-based real estate services firm specializing in site selection, land marketing, and land consulting services. Listen in as David Branch focuses on Atlanta's economic development and interviews the principal people responsible. And now, your host, David Branch.
Welcome to Building Atlanta, life at the intersection of real estate, sports, and entertainment. I'm David Branch, and today's program profiles the LakePoint Sporting Community, a 1,300-acre regional mixed-use development located at the intersection of I-75 and Lake Altoona in Bartow County. Each week, our program focuses on Atlanta's truly transformational projects, people, and events, those that are enhancing our quality of life, positively impacting both economic development and job creation, and shaping and reshaping the face of 21st century Atlanta. Before I introduce today's guests, Neal Freeman and Judy Sparks, who are both senior partners with LakePoint Sports Development Group, let me give our audience first some quick background on this amazing LakePoint project. As I mentioned, LakePoint is a 1,300-acre regional mixed-use development. It is located on I-75 at Lake Altoona in Bartow County. And the site is approximately 25 minutes north of Buckhead. If you were to finish a meal at OK Cafe and jump on I-75 at West Paces, you would be at the LakePoint project in 24 or 25 minutes. But when you cross over the Altoona Bridge on I-75, all of a sudden the world changes, and you are now in the midst of North Georgia's beautiful, scenic mountain and lake country. The LakePoint project features over 3 miles of interstate frontage on both sides of I-75, including 2 full diamond interchanges on I-75 with U.S. Highway 41 forming the project's western boundary. The centerpiece of the LakePoint project and its primary economic driver will be the world's largest privately owned amateur and youth sports complex. And to give my audience a sense of the size of this sports complex, if you have ever been to ESPN Wide World of Disney in Orlando, where the Braves are currently training, the LakePoint Sports Complex will be roughly twice the size of the ESPN facilities in Orlando. The project is designed to serve the elite travel team market, a market that Neal Freeman is going to be talking about in greater detail in a moment. And the LakePoint sporting facilities are projected to attract over 6 million visitors annually. And those 6 million visitors will in turn create demand for over 1 million hotel room nights every year. And the project is anticipated over the next 10 years to create over 20,000 new jobs in Bartow County and the surrounding area. In recognition of this literally staggering economic impact, LakePoint has already been the recipient of a number of major industry awards, including having LakePoint's 1,300-acre land assemblage recognized by the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors as 2012's single most outstanding real estate transaction, being named by the Atlanta Business Chronicle as Atlanta's best mixed-use project of 2012, and being honored by the Bartow County Chamber of Commerce as Bartow County's Economic Development Deal of the Century. And when receiving this award, one of my LakePoint partners said, "Which century, the last century or this one?" But we decided we would take either one. And in addition, the LakePoint project features a host of sports luminaries as partners and joint venture partners, including former Braves manager Bobby Cox, current Braves manager Freddie Gonzalez, current Kansas City Royals manager Ned Yost, and world-renowned professional golfer Greg Norman. My firm, Site Services Group, is honored to have represented LakePoint in the initial 1,300-acre land assemblage, in working through the entitlements and incentives, working with LakePoint's Chief Operating Officer Lee Freeman, and in the marketing and disposition of LakePoint's land tracts and outparcels for hotels, restaurants, retail, and entertainment facilities. And in the interest of full disclosure, I would also point out that Site Services Group holds a very small minority investment interest in the LakePoint project, which is unquestionably the most exciting land development with which we have ever had the privilege to be associated. And so with that background, let me introduce my first guest, Neal Freeman. Neal is partner and co-CEO, along with Earl Earhart of LakePoint Land LLC, the project's master developer. And as the project's master developer, Neal will be responsible for overseeing construction of over 5 million square feet of commercial development, which will surround and support LakePoint's sports facilities. He also happens to be president of Watkins Retail Group, which is the largest developer of Publix-anchored neighborhood shopping centers in the country, having developed over 50 Publix centers around the Southeast, with the 51st, Neal, I think, planned for LakePoint South Campus. Neal, before we get into your description and overview of the LakePoint project, if you would, talk first about your personal experience with the world of travel sports and how that experience has shaped your vision for the LakePoint project.
I'll do that. Thank you, David. I appreciate the opportunity to share the LakePoint story with you. While I was developing the public shopping centers around the southeast United States, I was also raising my family with 3 kids who fortunately had their mother's athleticism. One was an accomplished tennis player, one was an excellent fast pitch softball, and my son was quite good at baseball. And so as I traveled around, somehow I ended up being the coach, the travel secretary, water boy, equipment manager for all 3 of them. That traveling around the country from the north to the south, all the way out to the west coast, and everything in between. I could not find a place that had great sports facilities that were connected to the hospitality, to the retail, to entertainment, and it looked like a disconnected industry, but yet it was one that was exploding. And our thought was, if we could have a live, work, play, mixed-use community that catered to those sports tournaments, creating almost what we call a travel ball cruise ship, that we'd be on to something special. So we've kind of created our own real estate class and doing what we call a sports tournament vacation destination, whereas some people will come just for the sports tournament, some will come just for the vacation destination, but some, and this is one of the trends that we noticed with families, were using their vacation time to participate in these tournaments. So we get all of that. We have developed 3 platforms here at LakePoint. We're using this facility to showcase kids' sports skills without question. It's a platform that creates lifetime memories for families, and it's a platform that teaches values to our youth. We plan on developing this huge project in 3 phases. We're going to start with the south, then we're going to go to the north, and then the east. The first phase will be the 550-plus acre South Campus, which will open beginning in the spring of this year.
Neal, talk to us about the South Campus, and I know you opened one of your sports facilities actually this fall and will reopen. But talk to us about what's planned for the South Campus, and then what the timetable will be for the development of this first phase.
Absolutely, indeed, the Terminus Wake Park, which is the largest cable wakeboard park in the country, second largest in the world, the only one that will have a new product that Shaw has put out is called HydroTurf, and it'll also be the only one, a wake park in the country that has a clockwise and counterclockwise park. It will reopen in April, and then in May, right next door, will be a beach volleyball complex, and we have several events already planned. One of them is a televised pro event in the latter part of June of this year. Moving across the street, we'll be opening 4 major league sized baseball fields, all with synthetic turf, where Shaw Sports Turf is our provider of those. These will be full length fields, and Perfect Game will be moving their headquarters here. Perfect Game is the #1 recruiter. They're the #1. They're the gold standard in amateur baseball. 85% of the players drafted in the major leagues are getting college scholarships, came through the Perfect Game program, and they're moving starting in June, first week in June actually, and they sign long-term leases to be here for the next 20 years. Beside those baseball fields will be 3 multi-purpose fields where we'll have the soccer and lacrosse. Also adjacent to this and opening in middle to the latter part of 2015 will be a 200,000 square foot indoor sports facility, which will house our volleyball. And we'll actually have 12 basketball courts that convert to 24 volleyball, but also be used for wrestling, gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, corporate events as well. This also will be the home, and maybe Judy, I think, might get into this a little bit later, of our sports medicine research facility, where Powerade will be there, have their hydration lab.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back and let you finish describing this amazing South Campus development.
All right, glad to do it.
And now, back to Building Atlanta with David Branch.
This is David Branch, and we are talking today with Neal Freeman and Judy Sparks, senior partners with the LakePoint Sporting Community Development. And Neal, before our break, you were describing for us the facilities that are now underway on LakePoint's South Campus. If you would pick back up and continue on.
Okay, thank you, David. We're talking about the indoor sports pavilion, which truly will be the hub of the wagon wheel for our whole sports complex. It'll be our performance center where all sports will work towards. And this is where we'll house our sports medicine research, the Powerade Hydration Lab, the first of its kind. And I think Judy might speak to that a little bit further.
Right.
Dr. James Andrews having his first injury prevention center and biomechanics lab. Also, there our speed and agility, strength conditioning, and so we're excited about that building. Right next to that will be the track and field complex, which is being designed for Olympic standards. On the South Campus, we already have 4 hotels, either under contract or in design. Many of the names that you would be familiar with. We've got 5 restaurants under contract. We are going to committee with a grocery store next month, so we expect to be able to announce a major grocery chain coming to Lake Point. In December of a couple of years ago, of 11, we closed on 14 acres to the sale of Bass Pro to do a 100,000 square foot store, and it is going to be not just a store but a whole experiential area, and that is housed in the middle of our outdoor recreation area. The centerpiece of that is a 300 acres that we have put in a conservation easement. It'll always be a natural forest, but within that conservation easement, we'll have our hiking trails, biking trails, some canopy zip lines, and just some exciting activities.
Neal, I was
just going to say we have 75% of our available out parcels already committed to this point.
And that's absolutely amazing. Talk to us, Neal. The South Campus is obviously going to come online starting this spring, this summer. We'll finish up, I think, over the balance of 2014 and into 2015. Talk to us a little bit about the second phase, the 600-acre North Campus, and the facilities, and in particular the entertainment-oriented facilities that you have planned for the North Campus.
Absolutely. Well, in about a week, we're going to announce a national theater chain that's going to sign a 20-year lease with us, and we're working with a 30-lane bowling facility, indoor go-karting, several themed restaurants.
Now, these facilities are all in your Boomtown Entertainment Village,
right,
which is going to be an amazing venue and a place for kids and families and visitors to go when they're not playing a sport or playing an event and relaxing and dining. Very similar, I think, Neal, to if audience members have been to Downtown Disney in Orlando or Universal City Walk. Very similar complex.
That is correct. Same kind of theming, the lake, the music, the sounds, the smells. So excited about that. It'll be connected to an area we call Pennant Point, which is where we have a lot of sports retailers. The Braves are going to have a clubhouse store there. We've got a lot of the sports brands will have specialty stores, and we've got several quick-serve restaurants in there. This is also, all this is connected to our big campus of fields. We're actually going to have 8 more perfect game fields, one of them being a stadium that'll seat up to 8,000 seats. It'll also be our home of our 12 fast-pitch softball fields that'll serve for junior baseball fields. But what's really important to us is also the centerpiece of our Miracle League field, our adaptive sport, wheelchair baseball. We plan on having wheelchair adaptive sports on all our sports, and certainly that'll be right there in the middle. We have signed an agreement, and they've already done the complete golf course design for Greg Norman Champions Golf Course Academy.
Wow.
And that will be at lit 9 holes, and some of these holes have 50-foot drops in elevation and just really exciting design to it, and it sits on top of the
spectacular
whole
views, of the North Georgia mountains.
Right. I failed to mention that we are going to have 14 more multi-purpose fields in North Atlanta. Soccer and LB3 lacrosse will be moving their headquarters here, and those 14 turf fields will also include a stadium, just like the baseball stadium. One thing I failed to mention was we do have plans for a water park.
Right.
It will not be as big as the one just south of us, but it would be one that would complement and be a great amenity for our residents here and guests.
Neal, do you think that's going to be an indoor-outdoor water park, probably tied in with a hotel? Is that the plan at this point?
Right now, that is the plan, David.
Okay.
One thing that has just kind of grown organically is our medical village. As master developer, I must admit that the only medical I had in my mind was that we needed trainers on our fields. So we were pleased that we have an association with Children's Healthcare. And from there, it's grown to not just having trainers on the fields, but we're discussions about having walk-in clinics for them as well as other medical providers. There's discussion of a medical conference center, wellness center, and related hospitality around that. So, and then as well as Dr. Andrews possibly doing a surgical skills center. So some fun organic growth that's come out of our idea.
Neal, the North Campus, originally I think when you embarked on this project, the plan was that you would develop the South Campus, and that would probably take 5 years or so, and once you finished that, you would roll into the North Campus, and that was probably another 5 years, and then finally finish up on the East Campus. But it looks like, based on the response from users and tenants and sports organizations, that the North Campus is probably going to roll out virtually on the heels of the South Campus. Talk a little bit about the timetable for the development of the North Campus.
Right. That is the game plan. We're going to do it'll be the largest grading job in the history of Georgia, somewhere around 14 million cubic yards of dirt, more than they moved down the Kia plant in LaGrange. So that's a 9 to 12 month grading job alone. The goal is to start that before this year is over, to start going vertical in 15 and open late 15 and 16 on the facilities I talked about previously. Just exciting. And it was a project, when this overall project got started, it looked like it would be done in about 15 years, and that has been compressed to a 5 or 6 year development cycle.
Substantially compressed. Talk to us also about your East Campus. You've got, in addition to the South Campus and the North Campus, LakePoint has another 150 acres east of I-75 that ties directly into Lake Allatoona. Before that phase can be developed, LakePoint will have to build a bridge across I-75, not an exit, but a pedestrian and vehicular bridge that will connect the East Campus directly to the North Campus. But talk about the plans and sort of the timeline for development of the East Campus.
Well, we have 14 acres over there that we're going to develop into a marina of some type, and it would offer the ability to host some of these triathlons, the typical aquatic rentals, the pontoons, the jet skis. Also, it'll be a place that we can have a rowing center for the women's crew that we hope to associate with Kennesaw State with. All this expected to be delivered in 2017, unless we're lucky to make it sooner. We are working this week with a group to bring a major sport to our area. That's a national name that we're not at liberty to say yet, but they would be associated and complement our planned 4-star resort hotel that would overlook this cove, the 14-acre cove I was describing, much like the Ritz does at Lake Oconee, if our listeners have seen that before. So all that will bring our total sports being showcased at LakePoint to slightly over 40 sports.
40 sports, and when the project originally started, I think there was originally 3, was baseball, soccer, lacrosse, and then Bobby Cox, when Bobby got involved, said you can't develop this project without including fast-pitch softball for women. So from that initial core of 3 to 4 sports, it's now grown to over 40 sports, which is absolutely amazing. Neal, thank you very much for that overview on the project. I want to, at this point, introduce my second guest, Judy Sparks, who is a LakePoint partner and is also the project's Chief Marketing Officer. Judy is also president of Smartages, LLC, an Atlanta-based strategic marketing firm where she represents many of the largest developers, builders, and architects throughout the Southeast region. Judy, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then when we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about your vision for the marketing and branding and development of sponsorship partnerships for the LakePoint project. We will be back in a moment.
And now, back to Building Atlanta with David Branch.
We are back. This is David Branch with Building Atlanta, and today we are profiling the LakePoint Sporting Community development in Bartow County. And my second guest today is Judy Sparks, who, as I mentioned, is the Chief Marketing Officer for the LakePoint project. And Judy, can you give the audience a sort of an overview of what your primary marketing and branding vision is for this amazing project?
Absolutely. David, thank you for having me on your show. It's a privilege to be here. Our vision for LakePoint is no small one. We aspire to become America's premier sports vacation destination. So what that means is we have studied very closely the fragmented sports travel market that Neal referred to earlier, and figured out, what that audience really needs to make that sports tournament lifestyle really a family vacation that creates memories for a lifetime. So we've been very focused on the needs of that audience, coupled with the needs of the driver of that market, which is college recruiters and professional scouts. So looking at what those two audiences need in terms of amenities, facilities, entertainment options, we've put together what we feel like is the most unique and comprehensive destination of its kind in this class. So that is our overarching brand goal at LakePoint.
Judy, I mentioned when I was talking with Neal Freeman that the projected 6 million visitors every year to LakePoint sporting facilities will generate a demand for over 1 million hotel room nights every year. And in that regard, plans at LakePoint call for the development of over 25 different hotels on the 1,300-acre campus. And most of those will be limited service, select service hotels geared, again, towards this elite travel team market, but will also include an expected conference center hotel and a potential resort hotel as well. So hotels and hospitality are going to be a big part of the LakePoint picture. Judy, to me, one of the most exciting things about LakePoint's early evolution was when you brought in, as LakePoint's initial Tier 1 corporate sponsor, the Coca-Cola Company, perhaps the world's most iconic and most famous brand. Can you describe for our audience how the LakePoint Coke partnership evolved and what it was that originally attracted Coke to this project?
Absolutely. We had an open competition between the two leading brands in that market, Coke and their major competitor, and we evaluated things beyond just pouring rights. We wanted to understand who could be a true integrated partner with us to achieve our strategic goals long-term together. And outside of being headquartered here in Georgia, there were many, many attributes that pointed our decision to the Coca-Cola Company. And one of the biggest differentiators was their ability to bring innovation to LakePoint. I think all of our partners aspire to make a difference. We have a saying, and it was really coined by our partner Neal Freeman, that in everything you do, there must be a balance of mission and margin. And on the mission side, LakePoint really wants to make an impact and make the world of sports a safer and better place. And with 40 youth sports playing at the same time, 365 days a year, there is no other place where content can be aggregated and studied and be useful data for companies such as the Coca-Cola Company to enhance their product and make it better. So Coca-Cola brought to the table the idea of creating the very first advanced hydration lab for Powerade at LakePoint, and that made a huge difference for us. We understand that our consumers are primarily between the ages of 8 and 18. They have adopted sports as a lifestyle, and it involves the whole family. And with everything in the news about injuries and heat-related illnesses and concussions and the importance of hydration, we felt like it would be a really enhanced customer experience to be able to come to LakePoint, interact in the Powerade lab, understand how to be healthier, how to take that information and advance yourself as an athlete. And as a mother, it's important to me to understand what my child needs in order to be safe and to perform. And so Coca-Cola was just brilliant in introducing that idea to us, and from there we've been able to have those type of innovation conversations with several of our other sponsors. So we aspire to make the world of sports a safer and better place, and it all starts with the Powerade Hydration Lab, but I think you'll see a lot of initiatives at LakePoint that support that cause.
Judy, it seems to me that with LakePoint's 6 million annual visitors, which includes not only the young athletes, their families, and in particular their mothers, their coaches, trainers, and then the college recruiters and pro scouts that you mentioned, that LakePoint will offer its corporate partners the opportunity to reach a really desirable target demographic. Can you describe what you see as the opportunities at LakePoint for your other major sponsors and partners beyond the Coca-Cola Company? Because I know you envision several different tiers of sponsorship.
Yes, and we have been already successful with obtaining other sponsors at that level, Shaw Industries being one that will be our official turf provider. As you know, David, it's the largest installation of artificial sports surfacing in the world, and that makes a lot of difference in terms of being able to play in the games right after it rains. The sustainability it provides LakePoint to be completely sustainable, where we don't have to rely on watering our fields or fertilizing our fields. So here again, Shaw is making the world of sport a safer and better place. So I think that whether you're Shaw Industries and you sell primarily to businesses, or you're the Coca-Cola Company that sells primarily to consumers as well as businesses, the opportunity at LakePoint is really simple. You get to reach 6 million visitors all in one place. And we have a couple of portals that give our corporate sponsors and partners access to incredible data, and one being our centralized housing bureau. Everybody comes in and out of our virtual portal in the same place. So that gives our corporate partners the opportunity to reach this audience in a very direct way. We also have an incredible sampling opportunities. What we're hearing from especially the equipment manufacturers, the apparel manufacturers, as well as the technology partners that we're talking to, is this is a wonderful place to test product. So before you come out to market with a product, we have a set of consumers located at the same place where there's ample sampling opportunities as well as product testing opportunities, and that seems to be a universal appeal across all of our corporate partners.
Judy, you talked about Shaw Industries, and it seems to me that Shaw absolutely reinforces what you're talking about in terms of the marketing and branding opportunity. You mentioned that the LakePoint Sports Complex in its totality will feature the largest installation of synthetic sports surfacing in the world, and this is so significant to Shaw Industries that they have made a commitment to move the headquarters of their sports turf division to LakePoint, into LakePoint's office community. And as I understand, they envision this being a worldwide marketing opportunity where they will take advantage of LakePoint's proximity of roughly 6 or 7 minutes away of the Cartersville Regional Airport to literally fly in clients from all over the world to see the different types of turf that they are developing and testing at LakePoint.
That's absolutely correct, and why that matters to the consumer, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world from a corporate business standpoint, but what artificial does for our consumer is these days parents, families are using their vacation time to go on these tournaments and support their child's dream of playing collegiate or professional sports. And what happens when you spend all of the money to go to these tournaments and it rains for 3 days straight, you're pretty much washed out the whole time. So having the artificial sports surfacing allows our players to be back on the field almost immediately after it stops raining from a drainage standpoint. So that's the so what in terms of the consumers. The business opportunity for Shaw is tremendous. They are able to test new product on our fields, see about where the wear patterns and durability and maintenance, how their turf handles 6 million visitors a year. They are also able to test new technologies such as their cool turf technology, which will reduce the overall temperature of the turf in the middle of summer. So it's a great research platform for Shaw. It's a great selling tool for Shaw, and just the visual impact it will have at LakePoint to have the largest installation of synthetic turf surfacing. I think that the LakePoint brand will have many, many signatures that define us, but certainly the turf is one that will define us right out of the gate.
Judy, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Building Atlanta with David Branch.
We're back. This is David Branch with Building Atlanta, and we are today profiling the LakePoint Sporting Community Development in Bartow County. And I am speaking with Judy Sparks, LakePoint's Chief Marketing Officer. And Judy, before the break, we were talking about the evolution of the major sponsorships with Coca-Cola and Shaw Industries. And what I wanted to focus in on this last segment is the opportunity at LakePoint that you see for sports medicine and sports research. We talked about the fact that one of LakePoint's goals is to make the world of sports a better and safer place, and I think that opportunity has been what has attracted some very high-profile members of the medical and sports medicine communities. I know that there is one leading physician, a national pediatric specialist, who has said that in his opinion that LakePoint has the potential to become the epicenter for pediatric sports medicine in the nation. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening at LakePoint in the medical and sports medical worlds?
Absolutely. We already talked about the Powerade Hydration Safety Lab, but we are also proud to announce that we have named Children's Healthcare of Atlanta our official pediatrics orthopedic sports provider. And Children's is a wonderful brand to be associated with. I know
Absolutely.
As a mother, it's the brand that I trust the most. And I think that what we're going to find at LakePoint is brands like Children. We have several conversations going on with adult providers are going to come together and see LakePoint again as a great place to collect data. There's been talks with some of the medical providers about bringing a fellowship program to LakePoint. There's ongoing collaborations with major research universities in Georgia about bringing programs to LakePoint in that sense. So I think what you'll see is sort of a research center develop out of LakePoint, very similar to the University Research Park trend that you see going on all over the country. And it's all driven by the fact that we have a concentrated number of athletes playing multiple sports in one location.
Can you talk a little bit about, to sort of expand, you've talked about Powerade and Showa, but expand a little on what it is that Dr. James Andrews has indicated that he wants to do at LakePoint. And again, for my audience members who may not be familiar, Dr. Andrews is probably the most famous sports orthopedic surgeon in the world. When you pick up the newspaper or turn on ESPN, he's the one who is operating on RG3's knee or performing Tommy John surgery on one of the stable of Braves pitchers. And I think he is going to be a very important part of that major medical presence at LakePoint. Can you talk a little bit about Dr. Andrews?
I can. I think that most people in the sports world know who Dr. Andrews is, and one of the first things he shared with us is that, you know, he has done a lot of surgeries, and he's definitely known for that, but one of the things he really wants to do to build his legacy is to have an impact on research and prevention. So LakePoint will be home to Dr. James Andrews Medical Research Foundation, in which they will be focusing on injury prevention, and again, being able to collect data and publish that data from LakePoint.
Well, it's very exciting, and the one, I think the one final thing that I want to talk about and expand on some of the things that Neal Freeman was talking about earlier, because I think when people think about LakePoint, they think primarily of its primary economic driver, which is the sports complex. But one of the things that I think will ultimately make LakePoint very unique and will help reinforce LakePoint's desire to create the premier sports family vacation destination. We talked about LakePoint's strategic location being only 25 minutes from Atlanta. And within the last couple of months, the Braves have made an announcement that they plan in 2017 to relocate their stadium to a new stadium near the Galleria, where I-75 and I-285 intersect. And what's resulting from that is what many real estate people are starting to refer to as the new Cobb-Bartow I-75 Power Alley, an unbelievable economic development corridor that will be anchored by the Braves Stadium on the south, LakePoint and Lake Allatoona 23 miles to the north, and then right smack in the middle, Kennesaw State University, which is the fastest growing branch of the entire University of Georgia system. Their student population has now surpassed Georgia Tech and is closing in rapidly on Georgia State, and with the recent merger of KSU and Southern Polytechnic, kind of sets the stage for KSU to become a major research university. So I think that's a very exciting development that will benefit LakePoint. I think if you are a 14-year-old boys baseball team and you've come to LakePoint for a 5-day tournament from Ocala, Florida, the opportunity when you have finished playing your games for your team to jump in the car and motor 12 to 15 minutes south and take in a Braves game is going to be extraordinary. And Neal talked about the fact that the Braves clubhouse store will open in LakePoint in the Boomtown Pennant Point district, and will make it possible for our guests to purchase game tickets to not only the new Braves Stadium but the Braves minor league stadiums. But the other strategic thing about LakePoint is, from an entertainment standpoint, is that LakePoint also enjoys a strategic advantage of being literally at the halfway point. Many families are motoring down I-75, starting in the Northeast, starting in the Midwest, making a 2-day trip from their homes to Florida. And LakePoint falls right at the halfway point. So we think many families will, making that 2-day trip, will say, let's clear Chattanooga, but we need to find a place north of Atlanta to stay so that we can avoid Atlanta's afternoon traffic. And I know that's been a big factor that is driving a lot of the interest from hoteliers, restaurants, and other entertainment facilities. So I think the stage is set for LakePoint to realize that goal of becoming really America's premier sports tournament vacation destination. Judy, talk a little bit. I know one of your responsibilities as Chief Marketing Officer is the development of the LakePoint website, and to the extent we have audience members who would like to say, how do I find out more about LakePoint? Talk a little bit about how they go about doing that.
Okay. Well, you would go to www.lakepointsports.com, and in about 4 short weeks, we will be launching a brand new website. So if you go there today, please be sure to check back with us in about 30 days. And the reason for the new website is that I'm excited to announce that we will start having events at LakePoint starting this spring. On March 1st, Terminus Wake Park, North America's largest wake park, will be reopening for their spring season, and we encourage everyone to come out and participate, whether you've never been on a wakeboard before or you're a pro at it. There are water features for every level, every skill level, as well as Rally Volleyball will be kicking off their season May 1st with several different volleyball tours, and they have a website, rallyvolleyball.com, as well as Perfect Game, our largest tenant and largest aggregator of baseball talent in the U.S., will be launching their summer season June 1st at LakePoint. So there's a lot of things happening at LakePoint. I encourage everybody to follow us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, visit our website often, as we will be putting new content up there all the time. And then finally, last but not least, unfortunately, our wine and chocolate run that was scheduled for February 15th had been postponed due to the terrible weather, snow and ice that we had that weekend. So we will be having the half marathon 10K and 5K on March 15th at LakePoint, and it's not too late to register. It's an all-ladies run, and you get wine and chocolate at the end, so what could be better?
Outstanding. I want to thank my two guests today, Neal Freeman and Judy Sparks, both senior partners with the amazing and transformational LakePoint Sporting Community. We will definitely have them back as the LakePoint project continues to evolve. I want to thank my sponsor, Site Services Group, Atlanta's premier land investment advisory firm. And I hope you will join us next Wednesday from noon to 1 when Building Atlanta will profile Atlanta's booming film and entertainment industry. Our guest will be Lee Thomas, the director of Georgia's Film, Music, and Digital Entertainment Office, and my good friend Tom Harrell, a partner at the law firm of Miller Martin and the longtime legal counsel to the Motion Picture Association of America. I hope you will join us next Wednesday.
You've been listening to Building Atlanta with David Branch. Brought to you by Site Services Group, an Atlanta-based real estate services firm specializing in site selection, land marketing, and land consulting services. Tune in each week as David Branch takes on a growing Atlanta and the people involved. Building Atlanta, Wednesdays at noon, only on NewsTalk 1160, the talk of the town.